Okay, I need some help. Has anyone got a $20 note, please? John, you probably got a $20 note? Here's a challenge. Okay, come on, John. It is a fundraiser, isn't it? That's what we're here for. That's right. Yeah. Okay, John, tell me. Who's that? Do you know? Pick on the non-Aussie. That was really putting me in the spot. Do you want me to hold it here so you can read the small writing that's down the bottom? Can anyone help John out? Anyone know who's on the $20 note? It's not Kingston Smith, no. Yeah, no.
There's an aeroplane there.
There is an aeroplane there. Yes, that's a good guess. John Flynn. That's right. Thank you. I'm going to borrow it. I'll get it back to you later.
Thanks.
It's John Flynn, and as many of you would know, he's actually the founder of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. And I'm sure that many of you would know of John Flynn. In 1911, Flynn volunteered to serve at the outback parish of the Presbyterian Church based at Oodnadatta in South Australia. They had a church building and they had a small hospital as well. But Flynn's parish actually extended all the way north to the Northern Territory, west to the Western Australian border, and then east to Queensland, the Queensland and New South Wales border. And so, as Flynn spent many hours on camel, travelled by camel, wandering around his huge parish, he discovered that tragically there was no medical services that were available to the bush men and women and their families who lived there. If they got sick or they had an accident, they had to somehow try and get to Oodnadatta, to the hospital. But more often than not, they'd actually perish. They would die before they got to the hospital. Flynn started to dream about how to get medical help to the people of the outback. He dreamt of hospitals like the one at Oodnadatta, spread right throughout the outback, from the Kimberleys to Mount Isa, from the Gulf down to Broken Hill. So started Flynn's life mission of providing medical help to the heart of Australia. And by the early 1920s, he had 23 inland hospitals spread around the country. But he realized that actually this wasn't enough. It still took days for many people to get to a hospital. He knew that they needed two things. Firstly, they needed a way to ask for help. Secondly, they needed a way to transport that help just to where it was needed. Now, you see, in the early 1900s, a radio transmitter was big. Not only that, it only transmitted in Morse code. But Flynn had this dream, said, what about we have a two-way radio transmitter that is small, portable, simple to use, and can transmit voice. Not only that, but it has to be powerful enough to send a signal over hundreds and hundreds of miles to the mother station. How could he even imagine that when there was actually no electricity in any of the bush? But he had an even grander dream: to establish a network of aeroplanes that would actually transport doctors to wherever they were needed. So in 1919, John went to his board and he presented to his board this crazy dream. And they said to him, "So John, where is this baby transmitter and sending machine that you're talking about?" And he said, "Well, it hasn't been invented yet, but it will." And they said, where will we get the resources to build the mother stations? And he said, it will come. And they said to him, where will we get the money to buy a plane? And he said, it will come. And you've got to understand how crazy this is. John Flynn, this is the year before Qantas had launched. So the year after he went to the board, Qantas launched the new airline with 2 flimsy biplanes. But before that, John Flynn has already dreamt about a fleet of aerial ambulances that will fly and provide medical services to the whole of Australia. Now, nearly 100 years later, the Royal Flying Doctor Service has 66 planes. And last year, they flew nearly 5,000 emergency medical flights. But the hero of this story is actually not John Flynn. It's someone that I suspect none of you have ever heard of. It's someone without whom John's dream would never have become reality. Her name was Henrietta Smith. She was from Dunesk in Scotland. John Flynn never met her. In fact, she died before John Flynn was born. You see, Henrietta Smith bequeathed her wealth to the Presbyterian Church to be used for the welfare of South Australia. The name of the mission where John Flynn was first posted was the Smith of Dunesk mission. As per Henrietta's wishes, they had a hospital there to care for the welfare of the parish. You know, like Flynn, I'm also a dreamer. I'm dreaming that there will be spiritual hospitals on every campus throughout Queensland. Places where students will have their spiritual life restored through a relationship with Jesus. These hospitals won't be buildings of concrete, but will be communities of believers. Believers like Mitch, like Thea, who will welcome others into Jesus' family. In fact, like John Flynn, I have a ridiculous dream, a crazy picture, an absurd vision. And this is what it is. My vision is that it would be impossible for a student to go to uni in Queensland and not have a chance to encounter the life-changing message of Jesus. My vision is that it would be impossible for a student to go to uni in Queensland and not have a chance to encounter the life-changing message of Jesus. Like Flynn's board, you might say to me, where will you get the resources to do that on all 39 campuses around Queensland? Like Flynn, I will say, it will come. I know it will start with some Henrietta Smiths. Henrietta Smith, who believed that God would do an amazing work in that far-flung colony of South Australia. And wow, if she could see it today, the legacy of her generosity. What I'm asking for you tonight, is, would you be a Henrietta Smith? Would you give generously tonight? You know, no matter how much you give tonight, you probably won't get your picture on the next design of the $20 note. You know, most likely, no one will know the impact that your gift will have on the universities of Queensland. But God knows that through your gift, students will have their spiritual life restored. That students like Thea, students like Lucy, who Mitch talked about, they will come into a relationship with Jesus that will change their life forever, now and into eternity.